Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another session of Open Mic. In studio with me, I have Dr. Shawande Wheatley. Shawande, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure to be on here. I remember I was on here on Open Mic the last time I ran for the elections in 2015, and we had a good conversation, and I'm hoping to have a good conversation on this program.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shawande, it's been a while for sure. Open Mic, we try to bring people informative information. I think it's important to have people like yourself on the show so we can, map ourselves forward. Shawande, you're here. I got a question. Are you running for office?
Well, as you know, Sam, I ran 2 times before. I ran with the People's Patriotic Alliance in 2011, and I ran with the People's Empowerment Party with my good friend Alvin Christopher in 2015. And I ran those times because of, I felt as though I had a message to send to the people. And we went ahead and we campaigned and we sent a message in terms of what we felt persons in the Virgin Islands should be focused on. But I think that this time around, I'm well placed to take it to the next level, to be able to enact the type of change that we really need to see in the BVI. As you may know, I work for a statutory body of government, which is the college, a statutory board under the Ministry of Education. And while the college is not governed by general orders, for persons who don't know, general orders places great restrictions on your ability to be able to express yourself politically in a public setting. But the college has some rules. Sometimes statutory boards try to, almost mimic general orders. But the Constitution does not acknowledge statutory bodies. But the Constitution allows for general orders. So that's why a lot of public servants are very restricted as it pertains to expressing themselves politically. But long story short, there is a policy at the college on running for office. And back in July, I sought some clarity on the policy to ensure that the policy was in keeping with the Constitution and the Labor Code. And it's October now, and I'm still waiting for a response.
Well, Shawande, let me ask you, just to cut you off a minute.
Yes.
If it seems to be such a hassle, why would you want to run?
Yeah, well, like I was saying, when the college responds to me, then I'll be in a better position to make a public declaration. But in the meantime, what I want to do is have a conversation with the people of the 7th District about how to improve the district and how we improve the territory at large. And you asked me why I want to run. I want to run because all my life, Sam, I wanted to help people. Just about as long as I can remember, I wanted to join some organization that was doing something for the community. I left here in 1997 to go to school in the United States of America, specifically Atlanta, Georgia. And when I was up there, I wanted to join an organization that was doing something positive. I went over to the United Kingdom where I was doing my PhD. And I immediately got involved in the community. I wanted to get involved in organizations doing something positive for the community. I was up there. I used to lead marches through the streets of London. I would be doing my activism. I was very politically engaged. I traveled throughout Europe and Africa, involved in politics. And when I came back to the BVI, I wanted to continue to be involved in making a change. So as soon as I got back, I got involved in the Beef Island case. The Fisher Persons and Concerned Citizens for the Protection of Beef Island. I was an integral part of that group. We ended up taking the government to court, and we had a lot of success in protecting Hans Creek, which was an environmentally, a place of great environmental significance.
So you're a fighter?
I am a fighter. We fought on the Beef Island thing. Most persons will remember that. I was against the the Bywater contract. Not that it didn't have anything good in it, but I felt as though we needed to focus on the distribution of water as opposed to the production of water. I didn't think we had a water production problem. We had a water distribution problem and a water storage problem. And that's a problem that still exists today, and that's why you have a lot of persons who don't have water.
So when you're able to run or declare your candidacy,
Yes.
what would be some of the things you would be fighting for, obviously for the 7th district? That's the one you have an interest in.
Well, let me just say, Sam, that we're at a very critical time in our history right now. As everyone knows, we had the storms in 2017, the floods, we had Irma, Maria, and our economy is devastated. People are without roofs, and our education system is decimated. The infrastructure, educational infrastructure is decimated, and we have a lot of needs. And even before that, Sam, we had some struggles. You know, we had a lack of infrastructural development. Financial services kind of leveled off. It's not growing anymore. In fact, it was kind of decreasing, and tourism was stagnant as well. And we had a number of other challenges that we were coping with. The rising recurrent expenditure and trying to find money to do a lot of things that needed to be done. So we need persons who have vision, persons who have passion, persons who have character to be able to bring the type of leadership the territory needs to move forward. Now, specifically what I want to fight for in the 7th district, I have a whole program, you know, and I'm going to be releasing my program throughout the coming weeks and months, and persons will see it on my Facebook page, on District 7 Ton the page, along with my website, www.district7tonthepage.com. And we're going to be speaking about economy, speaking about health, social development, infrastructural development, a number of different areas we're going to focus on. But let me focus on economy first of all. We need a lot of work in our economy. A lot of the things that we want to see in the Virgin Islands, we won't be able to see if we don't have the money. We need a lot of infrastructural development. We need to develop our educational institutions. We need a lot of social programs, so on and so forth. We won't be able to do any of those things without money. And just to further my point, this year a lot of persons don't know, Sam, that the government had to take a $50 million loan just to operate government. That's because we had, according to Sharon Flax-Brutus, director of the Tourist Board, $2 billion worth of damage to the tourism industry. $2 billion, that's, you know, twice our GDP for the year. And that's a tremendous amount of damage, and a lot of properties are destroyed, and government, you know, had to give a lot of concessions with the storm. So we're down revenue. And we need to be able to make more money to be able to operate government next year, because we can't afford to be able to take any more loans. At some point, the financial institutions are going to say, well, you can't just keep taking loans to pay for your, you know, your regular bills. You have to be able to show that you can pay back these loans. So in order to make some money, we have to do a much better job in tourism, Sam. And I know tourism is your area, so you're the type of person I'm going to have to rely on as well in order to understand exactly how we move forward. But I have a few things. We have to do a much better job in terms of cultural and heritage tourism. We have a lot of historical sites that are sitting on the bush. You know, in the 7th district specifically, we have Nottingham Estate, which my great-great-great-grandmother, her name was Diana Nottingham, and she was one of the 25 enslaved persons manumitted on Nottingham Estate, establishing a free community in Long Look in 1776, which is the same year when the United States got its independence. And as we know, the United States didn't abolish slavery in the United States until 1865. And the wider British Caribbean didn't abolish slavery until 1834 and later 1838 after apprenticeship. So we had a free community of people in Long Look in 1776, and to the point where the British even sent persons here to study how these persons were living in order to prepare for emancipation. They wanted to see how the newly freed persons were doing as a way of advocating for emancipation, and just to let you know that the persons were able to handle themselves well once they were free. And we have a very proud history in Long Look, very proud history in the 7th District in general, and that's a history we want to put on display for tourists and residents to be able to benefit from. We have the Quaker burial ground right there in Hodges Creek area, close to Bar Bay, where the plant is. And this is again a proud part of our history. The Quakers played a crucial role in the abolition of slavery, and this is history we want to put on display. We have the sugar estate there and Josiah's Bay. I mean, there's so much history in the eastern end of the island. Even in terms of environmental tourism, you have an area there in the 7th District where you don't really see mangroves like that intact in the whole of the BVI. Right there between Hodges Creek and Paraquita Bay, you have that stretch of mangroves there, and that's a area of great significance when it comes to the environment.
So you're hoping to help employment in the neighborhood by introducing new tourism products?
Well, I'm glad you brought up employment, Sam, because the tourism industry should employ more of our people. Not just employ persons, but provide business opportunities. And I know you're a businessman very interested in the tourism industry. A lot of our people, Virgin Islanders, are not enough of us are working in the tourism industry. And the tourism industry can employ many more persons. Let's just take VI Airlink for instance. Since around 2010, I've been advocating for VI Airlink to get direct flights to Miami. Those are business opportunities, and those brothers, trust me, a lot of them, they got their pilot's licenses a long time ago, but they're going to open up the door for more Virgin Islanders to get pilot licenses as business increases. And this is what happens when you give your people opportunities. You have a stake in it, and you want to see persons just like yourself get opportunities. And if we were to do things like that, persons can get employment in the airline industry. You're in the taxi industry. I think that we're well represented in the taxi industry as well, because we have laws protecting local persons in the taxi industry. But even in terms of having accommodations, local persons can find business opportunities there. You're the one who introduced me to the whole concept of the Airbnb. And that's a big thing right now in the hotel accommodation industry. And this is an opportunity for all of us to be able to get involved, because, of course, we have a lot of properties which have been destroyed because of the storm. This presents opportunities for our persons who've already repaired their homes, perhaps have some extra space in their homes, to be able to provide accommodations to tourists coming in. And we have other areas in which we can benefit in the tourism industry. I would like to see the Fat Hogs Bay Harbor project get off the ground, so that we can provide a lot of businesses that can be able to service both tourists and residents. I'll give you an example, and this really is a coherent part of the plan as it pertains to selling your culture. I went to Barbados, and just about every Wednesday, one establishment had a cultural presentation, a cultural performance, and tourists used to pack the place. And it's just an example that tourists really want to come and experience your culture when they visit the island. And this is something that cruise passengers can benefit from. This is something that overnight overnight tourists can benefit from. We have to do a better job of selling our culture. So I would like to establish regular performances, cultural performances, dramatic performances. We have the college, which has an auditorium right there in the 7th District. And we can provide these cultural performances and celebrations that will allow tourists to be able to experience our culture. You have the food. We don't do a good enough job, Sam, of selling our culture as it pertains to food. We have persons, chefs who go away, and they go up to Miami and they win all of these awards, but not enough of the tourists who come here are able to experience our local food. Let's take pea soup, for instance. I'm a big fan of BB, right there in Fatags Bay. She makes pea soup every Saturday. And when I tell you I don't miss a Saturday to get my pea soup from Miss BB. And we have a unique way of preparing pea soup where we have milk and sugar. I would say it's unique in the whole world. I don't know any other place that does it. You know, someone will have to point that out to me where they do that. But what a fantastic business opportunity it would be if every single tourist that touched down in the BVI had a bowl of pea soup.
So let me ask you.
Yes.
Obviously, you're touching on some really important values, bringing culture back, keeping it alive.
Yes.
The 7th District is very important when it relates to that. Employment opportunity in those areas would be good for the district.
Yes.
But, you know, hand in hand, you're in education.
Yes.
And obviously, some people would say that the 7th District always seems to be behind, lagging in educational opportunity. And education and tourism should go hand in hand. If you're educated in different areas and ideas and concepts, it's easier to take on the task.
Yeah.
What is your plan for something like that, moving education forward?
Okay, good. Before I move from tourism, I just want to make one last statement, and that is every district in the BVI should have a plan in terms of how they can benefit from tourism. You know, tourism is not just something for the 9th District. It's not just something for the 2nd District. Tourism is something that all of us should find a way to benefit from. So the 7th District has to have a plan. 7th and 8th districts, I put them together absolutely to be able to make sure that you're able to benefit from the tourism product in a very significant way. Let's move to education. Education is very dear to my heart. I come from a family of persons, of educators. I'll point to my grandfather, Wheatley, a headmaster here in the Virgin Islands for many, many years, trained a lot of principals under him. A lot of persons, as we say here in the Virgin Islands, passed through his hand. And he did a good job. And my mom, she's an educator. My dad, he may not have taught in educational institutions, but he's on the radio doing his teaching all the time. And education is something very dear to me. I think that in the 7th District, we need to strengthen a lot of our fundamentals. We need a reading revolution in the 7th District, Sam. We need to be able to support the work of the BVI Reading Council, because if you strengthen your reading skills at an early age, the probability of you dropping out of school goes way down. You know, if you are a strong reader, you can do fantastic things in life. And I would like to partner very strongly with the Reading Council and have a consistent program, let's say on a Saturday, where we have, they have a fantastic program called Dad to Reach Out and Read. And let me just big up teacher Lyndon Smith, who's been keeping that alive for so many years. They have a fantastic program called Dads Reach Out and Read. I believe the district representative can give that program the push and the support it needs to make it very popular in the district. We also have to have a modern library in the 7th and 8th districts. Libraries are the foundation for a lifelong learning. And right now, our situation with the library, I think we can do a better job of providing a space that's accessible, that have modern facilities and amenities. And we can even run a lot of programs out of the library, generally having a learning resource center for the children in the district, someplace they can go and do their homework and study and do a lot of research and things like that. I also think, Sam, that the area needs a junior high school. I think that it's a travesty, Sam, that in this day and age we have persons going to Elmore Stout where you have students in their 20s. I mean, I saw on the news some months or years back that they changed regulations, they revised regulations to say that a student can be in Elmore Stout High School, in our secondary school, up to probably maybe the age of 21, something like that. And you have children probably as young as 10, 11 years old in the same institution with grown adults. Now, I don't support that. I think that we need to be able to separate those older students from the younger students. And if you notice, Sam, when there's vacation, you notice that the traffic eases up a lot in Road Town. That's because we need to ease the burden on traffic on Elmo Stout. And Elmo Stout has a problem with discipline. We have a big problem with discipline at Elmo Stout and some of the other secondary schools. A smaller environment is a more manageable environment. And we can even cut down on some of these gang rivalries and things that develop in the district if we were to able to keep those students, you know, at a very crucial time in their development in a more familiar environment to them.
So junior high school in the 7th
A
district,
junior high
where the
school.
8th and 7th, maybe all the way up to Bellevue would benefit from.
Yeah, I think there would be a tremendous opportunity.
All right, let's shift gear for 1 minute. We're running on a little bit under the clock now. We got limited time. Let's talk a little bit about politics.
Yes.
You would love to run and represent the 7th district.
That's right.
We have Dr. Pickering, who's there now. Many people that I've spoken with are not satisfied. They think that at some point now it's time for him to go. Do you think, and let me put this out there, you know, he has the government, he has the backing of the government behind him, but we haven't seen much of an improvement in the district. You believe that you can do a better job if you were given that chance?
Well, I think, as you said, Sam, the current representative, the incumbent, he's been there for, I think, next year will make 20 years. And I believe in politics that we always have to have a mind towards the future, what we call succession planning. When you go in politics, you make your contribution, and then no matter you know, how well you've done or how well you haven't done, things have to move on beyond you. And I should use this opportunity to say very sincere and deep condolences to the family of Honorable Dolores Christopher, who recently passed away, Sam. But it's a lesson to all of us that, you know, Ralph O'Neill was in there. He made his contribution, and as fantastic as he was, at some point you have to move on. Same thing with Lavity Stout. He was in there. He's another person who passed away while he was serving the people of the community. And as fantastic as he was, and as much as we loved him, we had to move on. Yeah. Same thing with my grandfather, Willard Wheatley. So this thing is something that keeps going. We don't want to be like Muhammad Ali, who probably fought a little bit longer than he should have. And that means at some point you have to be able to pass the baton to the next generation and allow them to take it forward. You know, and one day, if I'm fortunate enough one day to become representative for the 7th district, I'm always going to keep an eye on some young person in the district who I believe I would want to pass it on to continue the legacy of strong leadership in the district.
But why do you think the districts are so lagging?
Well, I believe that the National Democratic Party has had some real failures as it pertains to the district. I'll give you a good example. And I would have liked for the representatives from the 7th and 8th district to fight harder on this issue. We've been having a problem for years and years and years as it pertains to the sewage. Sewage running in the streets, it's really a disgrace. We need a modern sewage system to hook up to everyone's houses so we could take the sewage down there to the sewage treatment plant in Paraquita Bay and be cleaned and sent out to the sea or whatever, right? Everybody knows that this is a problem, but yet we had $8 million earmarked for the sewage in the Eastern Longlook area, and that money was taken away to fund an overpriced project down at the cruise pier. I'm not saying that we didn't need a cruise pier. Of course we needed a cruise pier because we needed some ships. They wanted us to upgrade our cruise pier. It needed to be lengthened, it needed to be widened, it needed to be strengthened. But then the landside development ended up costing us way too much money, Sam. Imagine it took $83 million. Don't you think $8 million out of that $83 million would have been appropriate to fix a problem that can have such a detrimental impact on our health in the district? I really think it's a real disrespect to the people of the 7th and 8th districts that till now, after 8 years of a National Democratic Party government, we are still walking around in sewage. I see the children coming home from school, walking home from school every day, having to walk through this nasty water in the streets. And, given the passion that some persons expressed on the issue, we would have expected that to be a much higher priority than it was.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, obviously, there's a lot of work to be done in all the districts, but again, focusing on your district. And you personally, you mentioned earlier you did run twice before.
Yes.
Did you have any problem, first of all, real quick on that, in declaring your candidacy at those times, and what's different between then and now?
Well, the first time I ran, there was not the college didn't have a policy. So I was able to run successfully.
So they changed and added a policy since then.
Right after I ran, almost immediately after, they came up with a policy. And that impacted my ability to be able to declare. The last time I ran in 2015, and as you all know, they call a snap election. And so actually, I didn't actually declare until nomination day. That's when it was confirmed that I was running. But this time around, I don't think that, the Virgin Islands Party, I would say for sure, will not be caught off guard by a snap election. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. It's something that I've been putting some time, energy, focus, and thought into. This time around, I'm with a solid team. Both times before, we didn't have a full team. I think the first time we ran, we had 4 persons. When I ran in 2015, we had 5 persons. But this time, for sure, the Virgin Islands Party will have a full slate of candidates, as they usually do. I'm confident in the leadership of Honorable Andrew Foy. He's been doing a fantastic job as leader of the opposition, helping persons. I think even persons who are critical of Andrew, Honorable Foy, just has to acknowledge that he's been doing a good job as leader of the opposition, bringing a lot of issues to the forefront that we never would have known about if not for his questions in the House of Assembly and for his investigations and fighting on behalf of the people. But besides Andrew, we have a slate of persons, and everyone is brand new and really a breath of fresh air. So
why VIP?
The Virgin Islands Party was at the point where it was rebuilding. As I said before, the first time I ran with the People's Patriotic Alliance. At that time, I was in, this was after 2007 to 2011, where the Virgin Islands Party was in power. And to be honest with you, I told you I fought against the Bywater thing. And I couldn't support the Virgin Islands Party at that point. Even though when I first came back, I voted for the Virgin Islands Party and some independent candidates. I did support the Virgin Islands Party when I first came back because I was against the Beef Island project. But after the Virgin Islands Party was in power and I saw some of the issues that took place, like the Bywater and the traffic lights at the roundabout and things like that, I had a hard time supporting the Virgin Islands Party. In 2015, after the National Democratic Party, those first 4 years, I was again very critical of the National Democratic Party. And at that point, I couldn't really support the Virgin Islands Party as well. I didn't quite support the construction of the Virgin Islands Party at that point. But after the Virgin Islands Party took such a bad loss and the party was being rebuilt, I thought that was a good opportunity for me to get with the Virgin Islands Party, because the Virgin Islands Party really has a lot of great persons inside the party. The persons inside the district committees and the persons they represent in the districts, they're genuinely good people, and they want the best for the BVI. And I thought that this was a good opportunity for me to join and help to shape the direction of the party. Definitely. And help it to be the party of the present and the future.
Definitely. Well, Shawande, we're about that time right now. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say that the concept I've been pushing in the 7th District and beyond is that it's time for us to start a new chapter in the history of the Virgin Islands and a new chapter in the 7th District. For the past 20 years or so, you could say that was a chapter of the BVI's development. We have a lot of persons who got elected in 1999. Andrew Foy was elected in 1999, Julian Fraser, Orlando Smith, Ronnie Skelton, Kedrick Pickering. It's a good amount of them who were elected in 1999. And next year is going to make about 20 years. And you would say that that was a particular era of BVI politics. I'm saying it's time for a new era of BVI politics. And it's an era where, you know, you have a lot of leadership stepping forward that's going to address issues we have in terms of transparency, accountability, good governance, that we're going to kind of have a lot of new ideas in terms of how we develop the economy. We're going to have a more involved and engaged approach to social development and education. It's time for the BVI to take it to the next level, Sam, and I would like to be a part of that process with the Virgin Islands Party, the party that cares.
Definitely turning the page.
We got to turn the page.
Turn the page.
We can't have a new chapter if we're not ready to turn the page.
Absolutely. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Open mic. Hopefully every week we'll have profiles of the candidates, just general information about what's happening in the country. You can tune in to 90.9 FM or on our YouTube channel. We'll be bringing you, hopefully in the future, live YouTube interviews and conversations. So stay tuned. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. Shawanda, thank you, and hopefully you'll come back again.
Thank you, my brother. I'll be back for sure.